Good evening, everyone. We are holding in the middle of chapter 16. Thus far, we covered the idea the Rebbe explained that serving God by action alone has two problems. In other words, a Benoni whose heart is into doing what's wrong, don't want to study Torah, don't want to serve God. The Rebbe says, just make sure the action, thought, and speech, the garments, you do what's right. There is a problem with that. Number one, it will not last too long. You cannot just force yourself against your desire, against your heart. You can do it temporarily. Number two, a major component of the human is missing in serving God. If I serve God because I have to force myself, but I don't really want, my heart and my emotions are not part of the deal. And it's not right. I should be able to serve my God with all my body or emotions or powers. So the first part, the rabbi explains that the proper order for us to serve God is the idea in the brains that it is the right thing, it's a blessing, and that's what we are supposed to do. It should awaken the heart, and the heart should force me or make me do or stay away from doing. What happens if one of the three is lacking? Mind and action, sometimes I don't understand why. I really want to do it. I enjoy Shabbat. I enjoy to be close to God, and I do it. I don't understand why it doesn't make sense to me. Actually, if you ask me why, I'll tell you it doesn't make sense. The mind is not part of it. Sometimes the heart is not part of it. Sometimes the action is not part of it. Whenever you're missing mind, the convincing, or the action is missing, that's something the rabbi will deal in chapter 17. Right now, the rabbi wants to deal with emotions because it is the most difficult to convince, so to say. The mind, if I tell you common sense, if I convince you it's the right thing, you'll be convinced. If I convince you to do something, if you're convinced strongly, you can do it even if you don't feel it. But to feel something is impossible unless I feel it. I feel respect or love towards somebody. There is no way to tell me you have to love that person. And that's why the rabbi is dealing. So any one of the three components missing is lacking in the service of God. The rabbi is dealing with the middle one, the emotions. That's the most important. What the rabbi is saying is, and until now what we studied, is that every single Jew possesses a hidden love and respect for God. In Hebrew, it's called ha'ava mesuteret. Mesuteret means concealed. By nature, when we are born with a godly soul, the godly soul is a spark of God. Therefore, we yearn to connect to that part of me. Just like you don't need to have an explanation why you love your sibling, you love your parents, you love your children. It's not because of the way they look, it's not because of the way they speak, it's by nature, because they are part of who I am. It's part of my identity. God is part of the Jewish identity. Therefore, we have a hidden love. The problem is that love is concealed after so much misbehaving, so to say. And therefore, the rabbi says, if you are to do what's right now, we assume that you would do it with the concealed love and fear of God. And the rabbi went on, this is the first part. The rabbi goes on to explain that love and fear of God are the two wings that bring every mitzvah up to God. The mitzvah need to ascend high. The wings are what allow for the mitzvah to ascend. That's why angels, in every picture you see they have wings. In addition, the Torah describes angels who possess wings. They have 6 legs and 2 wings. It says in Ezekiel, Isaiah, I think also describe angels always wings. It's not physical. physical object. Angels are not physical objects, but when you want to describe them in the physical unit, with a physical dimension, you add wings because to denote flying high, moving up high. When I do a mitzvah and I wanted to connect to God, they must possess wings. The wings are love and fear, right and left. Wings are such that one without the other cannot operate. I think I shared with you legs. Legs walk together in tandem. If one leg is missing or lacking or not walking properly, the second one cannot do a good job. Is that correct, Harry? Yes. Okay. If someone has one eye, they can still see. Not as good. If someone has one hand, they can still, to a limited degree, but the hand can serve its purpose. Hold, grab, drive, carry, shake a hand. When a leg is missing, you can't walk on one leg. Love and fear must walk in tandem. They both must exist. One missing is not good. This is until now. Now the rabbi is going to reveal two new ideas that to me they are original, unbelievable ideas. The first one is the most important one. The rabbi is saying that everyone in our universe runs after emotions. All we do is dedicated to emotions. I want to feel good. How does it make you feel? When someone is asking what's in it for me, usually people ask, what's in it for me? How will I benefit? What do you mean benefit? It's not that the bank account will benefit unless you feel good that the numbers increase. In other words, everything in our life is motivated by emotions. Do we have a disagreement on that? Everybody agrees? It's all about how I feel. I marry someone because I'm in love with that person, right? People will tell you, if you're not in love, why are you in the marriage, right? I go somewhere to feel good, to watch a movie. The movies plays on our emotions. I eat something. It makes me feel good. The doctor says it's not good for you. Who cares? It feels good. Huh? L'chaim.
Are you talking from experience? We all do.
No, but them. How else? I speak of experience, yes. Children as well as adults, human beings are motivated by emotions, period. If it makes you feel good, you will participate. If you do not benefit in any ways, what is benefit? Benefit makes you feel good. The outfit makes you look good. The outfit keeps you warm. It's all about how I feel. I hope everybody agrees to that. No debate. The secret, I'm skipping, I'm giving you the introduction so we can read the whole thing. The secret to the idea of emotions, it is the single channel that connects body and soul. You have two opposites, qualitatively, not quantitatively. Soul is spirit, body is physical, but they are operating together. How are they able to function? Emotions. Emotion is the expression of the soul that is expressed in my body. Let me prove it to you. I think I touched upon it last time. When someone is very upset, they cry. Where do the tears come from? The hair stands, right? When someone is scared. When someone is insulted, they feel ashamed. Their face gets red. Where is the body? Why is the body? If it's about the way I feel, feeling should come from the soul, not from the body. However, emotions is the key that combines soul and body. That's why emotions are the only component of my body that will affect or component of the soul that will affect my body. Let's use another example. Understanding. If I understand something very well, it will not affect my body. Seichel, intelligence, is much higher than emotions, but it doesn't affect me. I will not get extremely excited if I understand something. In fact, people who are very, very smart, they are very cold, cool, and collected, right? These are people who reveal and discover, but they're very cold. People, you go and give them great respect, and Anna, they have no idea what you're talking about. When they discover something, they say, okay, I got it. Sometimes they get excited, it affects their emotions. But brains, even though it's a much greater power of the soul, does not affect the body. It will not change the way my body operates. Emotion, if I'm angry at somebody, my body shuts down. If I'm very happy, my brains open up, right? You can think, you can understand better. We studied in chapter 7, the rabbi said that after he went home for lunch, his wife gave him a good a cup of wine and a good piece of meat. His brain opened up, right? Meaning he felt better, he felt good. People who are starving, they don't feel good. The emotions are the single most effective part of my body. It affects our relationship with others as well, which probably we'll touch upon, but right now we need to concentrate on the idea. So as opposed to brains, intelligence, which is much greater than emotions, they are not affecting the body. The body will remain the same. It will house the intelligent, will express the intelligent, but not get affected. When it comes to emotions, they are immediate effect on the body. The reason is because they are the conduit, or they are the bridge. Let's call it a bridge because that's the way the rabbi calls it. A bridge between soul and body. By the way, if you want to know where the soul resides, we already discussed it, and I'm going to share it again because we're going to talk about it. In the blood, the heat of the blood is the soul. What happens when someone is dead? The blood is there, but it's cold. The heat of the blood is the soul of the human, what the human is. That's why when we get compassionate and emotions, the blood is where the affect is shown. If you put an AKG, that's the name? Thank you, EKG machine, and you tell you are going to find the love of your life, the EKG will show the blood, the heartbeat much faster. When someone is extremely angry, the heartbeat. If someone is very depressed, it affects the heartbeat. It all is about the heart because it is the heat of the blood. That's where the soul is, and the emotions express themselves in the blood, with the blood, because the emotions is what binds or bridges between soul and body. Why is it so important? Just as it is important for our life to have emotions, as I said, we chase emotions, food, relationship, earning a living, spending time. It's all about emotions. So is emotions very powerful in serving God. We must have emotions involved. What are the emotions? Love and fear of God. They are summarized with two words: love, fear. That's why they are the only one to bring the mitzvah alive. When the emotions are involved, they connect. Soul in the macro is God, body is the human. So if I want to connect with God, when I serve God, it has to be there has to be a soul and body. There has to be a love and fear. These are the two wings that bring the mitzvah up. Any questions so far? I'm trying to combine a few points. Yes, Dick.
First wants to do the mitzvah, so he does tzedakah. He does it because he's nervous it's the right thing, but he does it when you might say the blood is cold.
In other words, someone forces him and says, hey, last time you asked me to give tzedakah, I gave, now it's your turn. And I hate doing it, but I write a check, right? So I have no emotions. I only have the action and perhaps the brains. So it's called a dead mitzvah. Last week we spoke about it. Today we're expanding on it because it will not ascend up higher.
You should still do the mitzvah.
Huh?
You should still do the mitzvah.
No doubt.
Okay.
Did I share with you the story about doing tzedakah without heart? Ali, no? Okay. Ali is the story master.
No, yeah, but there's no memory, so keep that.
There was a generous person who opened up in Hebrew or in Yiddish, we call it achnosas orchim, a hosting quarter where people who come to town can always find a place to rest, to do their emails and Facebook, and to find a little bite. And they relax. One time, the Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya, came into that place, and he was very impressed with the men's activities. He was doing tzedakah unlimited. But he saw that the men had a cloud over his face, over his head when he was walking around the guests. And when the men saw this holy man, a very holy rabbi, he asked him if he can talk to him in private. And when he spoke to him in private, he turned to the rabbi and he says, you know, I am getting so much credit for what I'm doing. And really, it goes very far. Anywhere I go, people talk about, they benefited, they've been to my place, they're very thankful, that I feel I don't do it for God's sake anymore. I do it because the honor and the great reward I'm receiving in this world. And it bothers me so much that I want to shut it down. The Rebbe turned to him and he says, in tzedakah, what counts is the recipient. But the recipient enjoyed and had his emotions involved in this? Yes, he said, yes, of course. He says, that's what tzedakah is about. In other words, tzedakah is not about me, it's about the recipient. So I don't know if that's the exception, but I think it sets the tone about everything else, because we're going to get a lot farther. This is just one thing that I'm talking about.
What does this have to do with the story?
Huh?
What the cloud over his head have to do with the story?
It bothered him because he felt that he is not doing the proper mitzvah.
But you said he was walking around with a cloud over his head?
That's what bothered him. The Rebbe sensed that there was something bothering him. That's what cloud is, figurative. You understand now?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about the emotions are the bridge between body and soul. A mitzvah done in this universe by a human must go through with a bridge to God. And that bridge are love and fear, the emotions, the emotional expression that we use when serving God, love and fear. What if they are lacking? It's like a bird that's lacking wings. It's alive, but it will not be ascending up high, will remain in this universe. And that's when I told you last week the story about Pt.2 came to a synagogue. He says this house of worship is loaded with prayers, and they thought it was a great compliment. He says, no, you do it without your heart involved, and therefore all the prayers stay here. They don't ascend. That's the first point the rabbi is making. The second point the rabbi is making is, what happened? That's why emotions is so crucial in the service of God, because it is God, what God is looking for. In other words, action supersedes everything. But emotions are also very, very important. Why are they very important? Just like in my life, everything is about emotions, because emotion is the bridge. If I have emotions, I'm connected to God. If there is no emotions, I don't do it out of love and fear of God. It stays in this universe. But what if I have a concealed love and fear of God, the natural love and fear of God? That's also considered wings. The rabbi is teaching us something new. And the rabbi says, what if you are lacking emotions completely? You should still do the mitzvah, because if you have come to conclusion it's the right thing to do, and you don't feel it, you have no passion, you still will be credited because God will turn the intelligent into wings. I'm giving it to you in the most simple, basic idea. And we'll see how the rabbi finds it in the text of the Talmud, which is to me, is amazing. In other words, the rabbi tells us that you need 2 wings to ascend the mitzvot. What if you're lacking the wings of emotions? Use your brains to be convinced it's the right thing. Once you're convinced, that thought will create wings and they will replace the real wings. One more point the rabbi is going to make so this is the second point the rabbi is making. The following is, by the way, not the Rebbe, it's the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah tells us the following. There are 4 universes. Everybody heard of it? Most of you have been to the JLI. We studied the 4 universes. It's Asiya, the lowest action, Bria, Yetzira, Bria, and Atzilut. There are 4 universes. When one has complete nullification for God, you know what? Let's start from the bottom. When one serves God without emotions, the mitzvah remains in this universe, Asiya, in the lowest of them all. When one uses serving God from the intelligence, without emotions, without love and fear, it will ascend to Yetzira. I'm sorry, take it back. I'm taking it back. When one does it out of the concealed love and fear that exists within us, a natural love and fear to God, he does it, but he can't explain why, but he knows it's the right thing. He, so to say, felt it, but not too much. It goes to Yetzira. If someone does it out of the intelligence, out of convinced, as the rabbi is telling us, that God will make it ascend, it goes to Bria, to the much higher level. When one does it, we call it with complete nullification for God, because he has love and fear for God. It goes to Atzilut. Atzilut is the 4th, the highest level. Did you understand what I said?
Can I do that again?
Huh? Okay. When one does it without emotions at all, it's Asiya, the 1st universe. When one does it with the concealed love and fear that come without awakening, it's just the natural way, because he belongs there. He's part of the people. It goes to 1 level higher, Yetzira.
And why doesn't the first one do the same?
He does it not because of that. He's supposed to do it.
Yeah, but he's got the internal,
But that's not part of the mitzvah.
but it's an internal part that will raise it up, even if you don't have
The example that Mr. Bloomberg brought is an excellent example. He's supposed to do it because of peer pressure. There is no hidden love and fear here. That's the 1st level. That stays in this universe. If someone comes to pray here because he's going to get free breakfast,
Good luck with that. Expensive breakfast, inexpensive breakfast, yeah.
a tasty breakfast, then it remains here. It does not ascend. If someone does, the best way to describe concealed love and fear, and it's been proved, is Israelis who come to synagogue on Yom Kippur. They come to Yom Kippur. What do you mean? Why? That's the only place a Jew is going to belongs on Yom Kippur. It's the same thing on Shabbat. Shabbat, you belong in synagogue too, but you won't see them on Shabbat. They have no idea. They're laughing. I don't believe in this stuff. How many times they say to you, I don't believe in this?
That's the 2nd level.
Huh? Concealed love and fear of God is Yetzira. Yetzira is the one above. Out of intelligence, I'm convinced to do it, but still I have no emotions. I'm not drawn to God. I'm not totally nullified. I do it because I feel it's the right thing, because I'm going to get a reward up in heaven, because I fear punishment, because I came to a conclusion it's the right thing to do, because there must be a God who wants to show, and therefore there must be a purpose, and therefore I want to do what's right, but I don't feel, there is no emotions. Then that's the Rebbe's Chidush, new teaching, which is God will create wings, but it will ascend to Bria. when someone does it out of total nullification, because meaning that they have love and fear of God, true healthy wings, it will go to Atzilut, which is a world that's totally nullified to God. By the way, those 4 levels are compatible with the worlds themselves. Those of us who have been to Kabbalah, we study about those 3 worlds, and they literally are compatible with each one of the levels. It's just, I don't know that this is the right place here. By the way, everything the Rabbi is talking about in chapter 16, 17, after 17, we're going to move into different topics. It will be expanded on in chapter 39 and 40 later on. We'll see it in great details. Any questions so far? So, if I am excited about something, it comes from here. If I want to cool down, what do? Brains. So if I want, so I think I shared with you on many occasions that when it comes to shidduch, to a marriage, the emotions, the bond and the passion, the love must exist. Did you hear that? Did you hear that for me? Didn't I say it last time, I believe? In other words, sometimes a person dates somebody and all the professionals, we're not going to talk about marriage at first sight, but all the professionals tell you that this is a good match for you. And you meet that person and actually they check all the boxes. She will cook, I will clean up, she will iron, I will do the laundry, she will give 20.
Is that discussed?
Huh?
Is that discussed?
Of course.
I don't believe it.
What do you?
You listen, there's somebody and they're talking about possible marriage, I'll do this, I'll do this.
On 110%. Otherwise, God forbid, there will be a war zone.
Well, that's the reason why I don't, you say love at first sight, but there's no such thing in a shidduch. Is there? Maybe you did, Rabbi, I don't know.
I have so much respect for you, so that's why I'm not going to.
That's why what?
That's why it's not treating you like he's.
I'm not going to respond in kind, but I dated my wife. I say it all the time. She was the first one, and only twice we dated. But each time, the second time was like 5 or 7 hours. They actually closed the bar in Manhattan at 12 a.m., midnight. So we decided to go to another bar. And we walked 3 blocks, we found another bar, we stayed until 2:30. Meanwhile, our parents were worried. Maybe I kidnapped her, etc. So she had to go to a public phone and call her mother and the mother wasn't convinced. She said, no, don't worry. And once we saw, I asked her about cooking. To me, it was important. And what did she say?
Making this up, of course he did.
The reason is simple. Over time, it will come to a dead end. Because common sense, 2 people who are working together, no matter how much they care, how much they are compatible, one makes a mistake, the other makes a mistake. People make mistakes, and the mistake is not a problem. The way it's how it expands, how it grows, and from that you hit a dead end. I'm sure everybody here has enough experience to agree to it. What if you have love, emotions are involved? You learn that the project, the marriage or the partnership is greater than the mistake, and therefore you've got to move on. If I talk to my kids, if they allow me to share with them an opinion, I say to them, always remember when a fight or a disagreement starts, because it's inevitable, remember that you have a much bigger project, and that is to create a life forever, and therefore, is it worth a fight? If it's not worth a fight, then you can say, I'm sorry, let's move on, I'm giving up. It doesn't matter if it's a male or a female, because emotions is a glue. I talked to you about the emotions that is a bridge between body and soul. I also told you emotions are the single number 1 by every category, the reason that motivates us to be, to do, to not do everything. We get angry. What's in it for me? We earn a living. we get married, it's all about emotions. Intelligence is not necessarily playing any role in our life. And intelligence is there to accommodate the emotions. The same is between two partners. The same is between a neighbor. The same is between two brothers, parents and children, children and their parents, married couples. The emotions is such a delicate and important, even though you can say, well, we are compatible, it doesn't work like that. People end up on the rocks simply because the emotions, because they are compatible. By every professional, they will say to you, they are compatible. But if the emotions are not there, they don't feel love towards each other, it's not going to work. A business will not function unless there is the emotions involved. How many times you heard from people who hire employees that they're not looking at the resume, but they're looking at the body movements of the potential employees, body language, the chemistry. How many times I have seen so many companies who they're looking to see how many times the employee will smile. How many times will they smile? In other words, the emotion, today we have the EQ, the equilibrium, emotional equilibrium, which is very powerful. And that's what dictates the future of life. A study was done, the famous marshmallow, if you can hold back from gratification, is effective later on in relationship, in graduation of colleges. It's all about the emotions. Intelligence is an important tool that most other creatures don't have. It has nothing to do with success. It has nothing to do with connection. Why do I say all that? Is because it's a reflection of our relationship with God. Whenever we serve God, the emotions are a must. There must be, otherwise the wings will clipped wings to the bird, and the person cannot ascend, cannot fly high. I think I shared with you Rabbi Yoshua Zeitlin. It was a famous Gaon, famous scholar in Vilna. Shkalov. The Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, once came and he says, where do you come up with these? And he says, it's Zohar. It's Zohar. He says, well, we don't rule based on Zohar. We rule Jewish law is derived from Talmud, not from Zohar. So he said, it says in the Talmud of Psachim, in the Talmud tractate Psachim, that there is a contradiction. One time says that God, the mitzvah ascends up to the sky. Another one, it says above sky. How is it possible? The Gemara says, one that's gone with passion, if it's done with passion, it goes above the sky. If it's only with no passion, it goes up to the sky, meaning remains in this physical universe. Simple as that. You need to understand that emotions are so powerful. And I said because I grew up in a place, in a time where emotions will have no value. And if you express emotions, you're being mocked. My parents, and I don't blame them, they're very holy people. But there was no such thing as emotions. Nobody had time to kiss or say how much you're great or how much I love you. Yeah, they say, you're great, you're good, you're going to be a great scholar. You have the brains. They all talk about the brains, nothing about emotions. If somebody cried, a boy that cried, they would say, hey, this is so unbefitting. They would mock down because the expression of emotions, when I grew up in the 70s in Israel, it didn't exist. Today, it's the number one. It's the most important one. The Alter Rebbe tells us that the emotions are the most crucial component to deliver, to bridge between us and God. Just like the emotion is a bridge between my soul and body, it affects the body like nothing else. So again, there are 2 points that the rabbi is making. One is that emotions is the bridge between us and God, and they will allow, if I have emotions, love and fear, the mitzvah will ascend to God. But the second point is that if you do it out of intelligence, God will create wings, give you the wings that emotions are lacking, so you can bypass the emotions. Why is it so valuable? As we'll discover in a moment, because if you keep doing it, eventually it will awaken the emotions. In other words, some people say, if I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. We say to them, if you don't feel like it, it's okay. Just keep doing, and over time, it will awaken the emotions. So if I am not in love with somebody and I have to give them a gift, If I give them the gift, it makes me feel closer to that person.
Big bucks.
Not the big
bucks.
bucks, not the big.
Is there any comparison, you know, in davening?
What's the comparison?
I'm saying, you just starting good because it's rote, and they have no feeling, but you feel what you're saying, you try to understand, then it's a different kind of environment.
All right, so you made a point, but I want to take it farther. Harry is mentioning prayer. Many times, I don't know about you, but many times we pray without a heart, without emotions. The idea is the rabbi put it together so that hopefully it will awaken our emotions over time, or at least to some degree, or a little period. Because the emotions is the wings that will allow the prayer to ascend. Yes, Dick, did you?
Just answered it for me, thank you.
All right. Now I want to read it, the second part, page 237, towards the bottom. What is it then that diverts one from his natural inclination to engage in his body wants, and that enables his diligence to overcome his physical self-love? It is the love of God. In this case, the hidden tevuna love. For this reason, the tevuna provides his Torah and mitzvot with wings, enabling them to rise heavenward as though motivated by revealed and conscious love of God. So what we just finished the discussion up to last week is you have the concealed love and fear, and they sometimes will take the place of revealed love and fear, and they will create the wings, but they will go up to a certain level, as I said, the Yetzirah, the next universe. Our sages of blessed memory hinted at this principle stated here, that the Tevuna love, too, as the power of elevating one's Torah and mitzvot, when they said, the Holy One, blessed be He, joins a good thought to the deed. Anybody heard that phrase, that God will join a good thought to a deed? Machshavot tova HaKadosh Baruch Hu metzaraf l'maaseh. You never heard that. Very famous. It says that God, if you have a good thought, I'm going to go to synagogue, I'm going to keep kosher, I'm going to give tzedakah, I'm going to be kind to somebody, even just the resolution is sufficient that God will join it to an action. When I have a negative thought, I say, I'm going to lie, I'm going to hurt someone, I'm going to stay away from God. You are not punished until the action takes place. When it comes to good thought, positive, God will join the thought into the action. In other words, the simple text before the Rebbe's understanding, which is very, to me, it's unbelievable. The simple idea is that the reward is not just for the action, but also for the thought. The thought, just thinking about it. Okay? When it comes to a sin, I said to myself, let me go and lie. That idea will not be counted as sin because you didn't do anything. When someone lies, then they're going to be punished. But if I say, let me be kind, and today I will tell only the truth. When you tell only the truth during the day, you get rewarded not just for the act, but also for the desire to do the right thing. That's what it means. God, that's a simple text. The rabbi here will reveal a whole deeper understanding, the Kabbalistic understanding. The simple is that you get extra points for thinking. In other words, when it's done just because you have to do it or you want to do it or whatever, it's great. But if you were planned beforehand to do it and you're thinking in your mind to do it, that alone gives you credit. That's a simple. Says the Rebbe, the simple meaning of the phrase, that when one, this is page 238 on top, that when one intends to do a mitzvah, but is prevented from doing so, God ascribes it to him as though he had actually performed it, warrants the expression, Torah considers him as though he had actually done it. Some say that if someone had the idea, the simple text, if I had a good thought, I today going to go to Torah study and study Torah. But then when it came to the time, my wife called me and says, somebody has to change the diapers of the kids, and I'm too busy to do that. Can you come home and take care of it? I didn't do the mitzvah of study. God says, if you had the intention to do the mitzvah, he will consider it as if you fulfilled the mitzvah. Says the Rebbe, if that's the simple meaning, it shouldn't say that God joins it with the action. It should say God considers it like action. But yet the Talmud tells us that if someone had a good thought, a mitzvah thought, God will join it to the action. Says the Rebbe, why the oblique expression God joins the thought into the deed, which seems to indicate that the thought was indeed implemented, but that the action is somehow detached from it and requires that God joins the two together. When we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu metzarfa, letzaref means to join the two. It means not that one is equal to the other, not that one, if the other is missing, is considered like if you did the action. It says God will join them together, meaning that the action and the thought will be joined together. What do you mean? You don't need to join them together. The action is what counts. Says the Rebbe, the explanation, however, lies in the previously mentioned principle. It is the revealed fear and love of God in the heart that vest themselves in one's performance of the commandments, giving them vitality to soar on high. We studied all the time before that you need two wings, love and fear, the emotions, to get involved, to elevate the action into God. For the heart is also corporal, like the other organs of the body, which are the instruments of action. Therefore, when one feels a palpable love in his heart, which indicates that the revelation of the soul has become materialized to the point where it can be experienced as a feeling of love in the corporal heart, then this soul revelation, this love, can also be received by and expressed in the other corporal organs of the body. When it is so received, and when the organs act in accordance with the love of the heart, then this love lends vitality to these actions, for the heart is the source of vitality for all the organs, as Alter Rebbe goes on to say. Says the Rebbe, the love and fear will motivate the action to elevate it and make it soar to God. The heart is, however, internal and is the organ source of vitality, and therefore, because the heart in its corporality is close to the other organs and also provides the vitality, it can close itself in their action to be the wings elevating them. Says Rabbi, when you have love and fear, they come from the heart. The emotions are in the heart. Because the heart controls the entire body. Everything I do with any other body part, the heart will clothe it with the love and fear and allow it to soar. That's why you need the emotions. The emotion come from the heart. The heart is all over the body, controls the entire body. And therefore, if I do it with the hand, if I do it with my mouth, if I do it with my intelligence, I'm studying Torah, if it's out of love and fear because my heart feels connected to God, that will create the wings for that action, for that mitzvah. However, the above mentioned fear and love that are in the intelligence of the brain and the recesses of the heart are of a far higher order than the level of action. In other words, says the Rebbe, this concealed love and fear, they are deep, deep, deep in my heart. They are not connected so much to the action. Therefore, says the Rebbe, they cannot close themselves in the performance of the commandments to become their intellectual power and vitality, to elevate them so that they may soar on high. Except, I'm going to skip this text of the commentary, if not for the fact that God joins and unites them together with the action so that they may serve as its wings. What the rabbi says, what do you mean a good thought God will join into action? Meaning not just in the simple text to mean that if you prevent it from doing, God will reward you as if you did it. It's not just that you get extra credit points for thinking about doing it. In addition to that, God will join it to the action, meaning create from that thought wings that will elevate the mitzvah, the action, even though you skipped the emotions, you had no emotions involved. Did everybody understand this? Make sense? Herman, you understand?
I do.
Good.
But I have a problem.
What's the
I
problem?
have a question. In daily life, you have to be cognizant about all these. And you're developing in your mind or a mitzvah, you're having a mitzvah to do. What's the cognizant way of doing it?
So my answer would be simple: by experiencing it, by trying once and repeat. Once you start repeating it, it becomes part of life. If you have a healthy relationship with a spouse or with a child, it's because you chose a path of love or respect, and you keep going with that same level. So I'm not going to talk about personality, but let's say a student in class with a very good professor. They admire the professor, they respect the professor. So every time they walk into class, they respect the professor. That causes them to concentrate and to absorb much better. There's no debate over that. And to be able to create this connection between the teacher and the student on a much greater level than the rest of the class. Do we all agree on that? How do you do it every day? Once you understand and it creates the emotions, it flows. And as long as the teacher didn't mess up or the student didn't take substance to mess up with his brains. Okay? So the emotions will open up the heart and the mind of the student. That's how the student will, once you have respect or love towards the teacher. By the way, this is an example, but it's in every relationship between two partners, between employees and employer, between siblings, brothers and sisters. Once you love somebody or respect somebody, not because what they do for me, just because we are family, that creates an openness and a connection that is way different than the other connections. I'm blessed with many siblings. Some of the siblings, the connection is much greater, much deeper. Not because they are give me something or a benefit. It's just the relationship. I have more respect or more love towards them for whatever reason. And therefore, when I meet them in public, all my siblings, I am drawn towards one or the other just because the emotions are the connections. This is the bridge. That's why the rabbi is making it clear that emotions are very, very powerful. The new teaching of the Talmud, that someone who has a good idea, thinking about mitzvah, God will join that good thought into action. The Kabbalah interpretation based on the Alter Rebbe is that if he's lacking emotional part into this mitzvah because there is no love or respect for God, meaning in Kabbalistic terminology, he has no wings, the action have no wings. The thought is what God will join to the action and make that thought so powerful that it will create the wings that will ascend to God. And as I shared with you, it goes up to the world of Beria, the third universe, which is much farther than the one that comes in a natural love and feel without awakening. Any questions on that? Everybody's understand? Can we continue reading? I want to finish today the chapter. They that tevuna, fear and love are called good thought, for they are not actual fear and love in revealed state in the heart, but only in the intelligence of the brain and the recesses of the heart, as mentioned above. Since they express themselves in the mind, They are called good thought. This then is the allusion contained in the statement, God joins the good thought to the deed. God joins the good thought, the tevuna love, and fear to the good deed that one has actually performed, so that the deed is not separate from the thought, but instead is elevated by it. In the extra note, the rabbi is going to talk about deep Kabbalah. It will take much longer, so I'm going to skip. I'm going to give you a summary. The rabbi is saying that in the order of the human being, the order of the Seder Ishtalshalut, the way the chain of order, is there are 10 attributes: intelligence, emotions, and action. Malchut, royalty, is the action. It's a she, it's a female. The way it goes not naturally is from here to the heart, to the emotions, and then to action. Sometimes you don't have the emotions, you have the intelligence, and you have the action. You go to Malchut, to royalty, the king, the queen. Says the Rebbe, this is what happened when we lack the emotions. So God will take from the intelligence and allow it to create wings directly to the action with bypassing the emotions. Why? Because those emotions are not awakened, because it's a problem for this person where he has no emotions. But when he continues on repeating himself, doing the action, over time it will awaken the emotions. Any questions to that? I hope I made myself clear. Let's continue. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to say, page 241, that the effect of God's joining the good thought of tevuna is intelligence, to one's good deeds, is that in this way the mitzvot are able to ascend to the world of Beriah. This is a world of comprehension, and all the mitzvot motivated by emotions arising from the understanding of God's greatness ascend thereto. But even without this act of joining the good thought to the deed, one's Torah and mitzvot ascend to the lower world of Yetzirah, the world of feeling, since one's performance is motivated at the very least by the inherent love and fear of God that is hidden in the heart of every Jew. So I gave you the 4 levels. If you had no emotions and no intelligence, you're just forced to do it, or you pray, you have no idea if you said it or not, it remains in this universe. If you do it motivated by the concealed love and fear of God, it goes to the upper world, one more Yetzirah. If you do it out of intelligence, you're convinced and you're using your brains to convince you and realize how good it is to serve God, then it will ascend to Bria, one above. If you do it out of total nullification because you have the complete love and fear of God, then it ascends to Atzilut, to the higher level. Here it is the Rebbe's conclusion of the chapter. But God affects this joining of tevuna. Tevuna is the intelligence to action in order to elevate the performance of the commandments and the Torah study, which are carried out through the influence of the good thought, with the tevuna mentioned above, into the world of Beriah. The world of Beriah being the level to which ascends the performance of Torah and mitzvot, when motivated by a fear and love deriving from one's meditation, and which are truly revealed in one's heart. Says the Rebbe, however, even without this joining, they rise to the world of Yetzirah by means of the natural fear and love, which are latent in the heart of all Jews from birth. As will be later explained at length, I told you chapter 38, 39, and 40. In summary, even he who cannot create conscience, palpable love, and fear of God is lacking the emotion in his heart, can serve God with a perfect service through the tevuna emotions, through the brains, thereby too his performance of the Torah and mitzvot will ascend to the same level as that motivated by revealed love of and fear of God.
I don't understand the last sentence. Up until the last sentence, I was good. The last
Okay.
sentence seems to contradict everything.
Why? Show me what the rabbi is saying is that it will ascend if it's a revealed love and fear, it ascends to Atzilut. If it's from the Tvuna, from the intelligence, it ascends to Beria. If it's come from the concealed love and fear, it ascends to Yetzirah.
But this says, but if it says the Yetzirah, and then it says it goes up to the same level.
The concealed love and fear that is naturally from birth will get the mitzvah to Yetzirah, the wings.
But now it says it goes up one more level to Berea.
That's the Tvuna, that's the intelligence. When you read the context, the text, you'll see. Next week, the rabbi will talk about intelligence. What happened? Not next week, next lesson, chapter 17. Thank you so much.
No, I think you have to.
Bye, everybody.
Isn't that the basis of Chabad?
That-
The